The last quarter of 2022 was highlighted by two trips. One was my 35th wedding anniversary trip, and the other was a trip to India. While Mindy and I had been out west before, we had never been to the states of Oregon and Washington. While we only spent about a day in each of these states, we were certainly able to see some beauty while there. Washington flaunted Mount Rainier in all of its glory on a splendidly beautiful day. And Oregon shouted the fact that, as the mountains are much bigger than they are back east, so are the pine trees and the ocean waves. En route to these states, we also visited a couple national parks that we had not seen before, Grand Teton National Park and Glacier National Park. Mindy not only enjoyed taking pictures in Grand Teton National Park, but she also met another Mindy there who shared not only her name in common, but also her faith in Jesus Christ. That was an unexpected blessing. While we enjoyed some beautiful sunsets out west, my connecting flights to and from India landed at sunrise. As I detailed in my previous letter, my departure was a real challenge. Once I boarded the first flight, though, all others went as planned. Dr. Cherian invited Jerry Olson to dedicate a more exclusive elementary school, offering a specialized education at a higher tuition to help with the Bible college expenses. He was joined by his wife Susan, who is seen here shaking hands with the principal. The students put on an elaborate program, which also included a demonstration of the historical attire in various states of India. I dedicated a second elementary school, which, while also a Christian school, was for a more standardized education. As such, the building is much larger, over 100,000 square feet in fact. Though the building is not yet complete, it is nonetheless beautiful and functional in its current state. It now educates over 600 students, with an ultimate goal of 2,000. Interestingly, I also laid the cornerstone for this building when I was still pastoring, and I did so on a piece of land that Dr. Cherian did not even own. At that time, the owner was not willing to sell it. Dr. Cherian claimed it by faith, and God honored his faith. Susan had tears in her eyes during much of the day those buildings were dedicated. Though I've been to South India Baptist Bible College many times, I had tears in my eyes at times as well. And no wonder. Over 90% of these children come from a Hindu background and are being taught in a Christian environment where they memorize scripture and learn Bible songs. That's an overwhelming thought, as this slogan rightly states. One of the students who reached her potential is pictured here. She is now a dentist. We also dedicated the dental clinic that day, complete with a checkup demonstration performed on Mrs. Cherian. As a nurse, Susan showed great interest in the dental clinic and is also able to help them acquire some free supplies. The Cherians not only educate children, but they also raised 25 orphans from infancy, 2 of which are pictured here. Although I arrived 2 days later than planned, and thus missed the opportunity to preach in the Sunday services, I was still able to preach in the college chapel on Monday and Tuesday mornings. I know you will be blessed as I was to hear the college choir. Jesus Christ, my Lord. When I consider what Jesus did for me, how he came to this earth to die George Stauffer, a member of IPM's education department, has served, along with his wife Jerry, for over a decade at South India Baptist Bible College and Seminary. Together, they have done a great deal to help with the music program there. George also recently laid the cornerstone for another building which does not yet exist on the campus. Jerry, Susan, and I left the campus on Tuesday afternoon and flew to Calcutta to be with the Vaipe family, who have a thriving deaf ministry there. Over the next couple days, we enjoyed some wonderful hospitality and meals in their home. Many homes in America contain a refrigerator, and the Vaipe home does as well. Like many Americans, they also post pictures on their refrigerator. Here you see a picture of the Vaipe family beside Daniel and Hannah Schwalbe, American BIMI missionaries who are laboring with the Vaipes to reach the deaf in Calcutta. They work very, very well together. Of course, we didn't go there just to visit them in their home, but also to minister with them and see what God is doing in their ministry. They're currently building a deaf training center in which the Vaipe family will also reside. This building is also within walking distance of where Daniel and Hannah live. The training center is large and will offer far more opportunities for effective ministry than where they are currently meeting. I was thankful, though, for the opportunity to share a gospel message with the deaf in the small area they are currently renting. Some of those deaf are pictured here. From Calcutta, we flew back to Mumbai, where Jerry and Susan boarded a flight for home. Because my flight itinerary was already separated from theirs, I added a couple days to the end of it so I could visit a national missionary family in Mumbai whom I had never met. Pastor Prasant had been in recent contact with Matt Barfield, IPM's Vice President of Field Ministries. I could now see that what God had allowed to be a major frustration on the front end of my trip also enabled me to experience a wonderful ministry opportunity on the back end. We met in the room of a Christian school where I was able to speak in Sunday school and the Sunday morning worship service. About 6 responded for salvation, and numerous believers made decisions as well. Mumbai is a very large and modern city, complete with high-rise buildings and smog. Because the high-rise buildings are off limits for personal evangelism, Pastor Prasant concentrates his gospel ministry outreach on those who live in the slums beneath those high-rise buildings. Because my flight out of Mumbai was not until 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, I was able to spend Monday with Pastor Prasant and his family. They extended wonderful hospitality to me in their home, where, like the Vaipe family, they tried to feed me much more than I could eat. We also had time afterwards to do some sightseeing, even as some of the earlier pictures indicate. Please pray for this sweet family. As a converted Muslim, Prasant's wife Ruth had to flee from her own family while she was yet a single girl. The Lord protected and guided her, though, and she now has a Christian family of her own and a wonderful testimony for the Lord. Aaron is reaching an age where he is able to understand the truth of the gospel. Please pray with his parents for his salvation. Like many children in that part of the world, Aaron and his sister Sarah are growing up while learning at least 2 languages. Sarah is also learning to eat 2 ways. With her hands, as many nationals still do in that part of the world, and also with utensils. As I sat beside her in McDonald's, she was demonstrating both methods as she used her hands to put her brownie on a spoon before eating it off the spoon. While there may indeed be more than one language in this world and also more than one way to eat, there is only one way to heaven. Jesus is the only true door to the sheepfold. He said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me." In a land where people literally worship millions of gods and even view some of God's creation as sacred, please pray for these spiritually blind souls to see the light and truth of the gospel through the ministries of the 3 families I was able to visit on this trip to India.